Hello everyone, welcome to the Advancement Centre and welcome to the world of magic and miracles, where we all gather each week and hopefully during the week to interact with one another in a way that we've never done before. As we speak about it, you elevate yourself above all things and find yourself in the world of your Creator, where our fields interact with one another to enhance everyone's life. There is no other presence except your own in the world that belongs to you, yet you can feel the presence of everyone and everything. You are the author of that whole world that you've brought to Earth to demonstrate in ways that you haven't even touched yet. As we gather each week, we reveal more and more about our own capabilities, things that we've seen about ourselves that we didn't realize we can use every day. Your ability to know exactly the character of a person without even looking at them, to feel the presence of a threat, and to feel the presence of your own majestic being. You know when somebody is around the corner. You know when someone is going to ring you. You know many, many things. And you can measure anything. If you're windsurfing, you know exactly what's happening with the wind. You don't have a weather signal to tell you. If you're flying or gliding, you know exactly how to pick up the right wind, the lift, and everything without any assistance at all. You can jump out of an airplane and guide yourself through the air and turn over to get everything the way you need it. You can ride the waves in the surf and you know exactly when to paddle or when to swim. Your connection to the earth is obvious, but you've never really looked at it and seen the part of yourself that's outside what you see as your physical body. It extends right throughout the universe. But lately we've been focusing on how it extends into the physical world. If you decide to send energy to a tree, you can send it to the top of the tree, to the base of the tree, to the roots. You can send it anywhere you wish. You can change the pattern of flow in the earth so that the tree is nourished. You can have a tree that is totally energized for healing to deliver its energy to a person on the other side of the earth. If you've ever tried remote healing, the best way is to say, go and sit near a tree and I'll transmit into the trees where I am. And without a doubt, you'll feel the benefit. More than the benefit, you will be healed. The characteristic of what I'm talking about belongs to every aspect of your being and to the world around you. But it's a complete unit in your world. And it's totally yours, not to control, but to command. And not by force. Command by your destiny. The destiny is what you set for yourself. Not just before you came into this physical plane, but what you've designed for yourself as an endless living being. The deep honor and respect you have for everyone and everything, holds a destiny that commands your direction in every moment. But it doesn't command it by voice or even inclination. It's clear, providing you follow your spirit and keep disturbing every moment. The only thing that will be left is the exact direction or action that is yours. It's like clearing the waters. Then everything is drinkable. What you send out is totally pure and continuous, and you can't make a mistake. The only thing that determines a mistake in the world you're in at the moment is the judgment of someone who says it didn't meet some rule. You came in without rules. You came from a world of magic and miracles. And as a child, it was a great shock to find out that you couldn't just follow your spirit. You had to follow somebody else's rule. I believe this has changed. And I believe everybody is feeling how easy it is to drop the basic rules and live exactly the way you are, not the way you're programmed. I've proven many times that your body, your frame of mind, your spirit, and everything comes back into line after a shock if you keep saying to yourself, wrong program, wrong program. And each time an alternative comes up, wrong program. Then all of a sudden, your programming system will give up and your supercomputer jumps in and you're back to normal. Not the normal that you started with, but the normal that's much better than anything you've felt in your life. And so you can read anything from a distance and know exactly what it is. And that includes the written word. How many times have you studied and studied and studied, and then all of a sudden you feel like, the light went on. I know all about it. But you actually know much more than what's written in the book you're learning from, and much more than the professor, much more than anybody has ever given you, because you've opened your own channel to that subject, which engrosses and takes on the full perspective from every dimension. So all of a sudden, when you say, I've got it, you have a holographic picture that you can walk around, look at, examine, test, and experiment with. This is something that some people play with, but I can assure you it's available 100% of the time without any effort at all. It's your natural being. If I say to you, just take a walk around the house you just left, don't imagine it, just walk around and see what's changed since you left. You can do it. You can walk around any part of the house that you weren't even in, and you can look at it. And you often find you've done that and thought you were daydreaming. You go to the beach. When you're sitting in the office and you actually experience everything at the beach. That's a parallel dimension that is actual reality. The only difference is, in that parallel world, dimension, whatever you like to call it, there are no consequences. You can fall off a cliff and you don't hit the bottom. That is more real to your being than falling off a cliff and hitting the bottom. So the more you practice in that parallel world that you used to call daydreaming, the greater skill you will have, the quicker you will get to where there is no consequence. And your personal supercomputer will actually respond to those experiences and bring that reality into your everyday life. It may seem crazy, and you may be able to prove me wrong, but there's no proof from the world of magic and miracles. You just exist there. Everything runs fine. You enhance everybody's life just by being you. And there's no task. Right now, we're on the edge of being transformed physically. And all the strange feelings that your body responds to and says, wow, that was a little bit heavy or a bit hard, or I feel like I've lost orientation. Every one of those things is actually an improvement. It's taking away the things that are implanted in our field. We've always had to have a framework to keep us up straight. But in fact, everything that stays up straight, no matter what happens, is spinning. Either counterclockwise or clockwise, or both at the same time. You spin your energy and make it faster and faster and faster. And there's no gyroscope in the world as stable as you. You can actually extend that to where you feel yourself take off and travel. And eventually, that's going to happen. If you don't have your engine turned on, you sit there and you put up with the same thing you put up with minutes ago or years ago. But if your engine's turned on by a little bit of mischief, by a bit of magic, by a bit of laughter, and some stupidity to go with it, then you can feel yourself alive. And your music starts, and all components around you start to spin. All your fields become active. And the power that you generate, as I've said before, is much more than the biggest power station to feed the major city in the world. And that's one individual. I've seen power stations shut down through the energy of one person. All the electronics just go crazy. But I've also seen it the other way around, where everything runs perfectly because you're there. Things repair themselves or show themselves as needing repair, and everything runs smoothly. The way we came into this world was to make sure everything ran smooth. Total perfection. And we have all these words that we talk about, love and harmony and peace and all these things. But if you forget about all of those and just be it, You are all those words, and you don't need a description. And so you don't need anything that says what your capability is. You just transmit it all the time with a smile on your face and a glow that demonstrates your ability to everyone. There'll be some delay for certain parts of the world or of society to accept that sort of thing. But it's only a delay in the paperwork. Everyone knows if you're bright and shiny and you're holding yourself tall and your eyes are sparkling, they know no matter what job they take on for you or you take on for them, it will be done better than anybody else can do it, independent of qualifications. Many of us have lived with the principle of qualifications, and we still look for qualifications. But in fact, if you have a close look at the measure of qualifications, it only lasts for a few hours while you do an examination or you're going through an assessment. It doesn't take into account the next 50 to 80 years of your life where you changed completely and you exceed whatever you've done a millionfold. And because of that, there's no way of comparing one person with another. There's no measuring system apart from the one we have ourselves. We speak to one another in a language that's not spoken in English. It's spoken as I know it in the language of the stars. As the scientists know it, they call it quantum energy, they call it all sorts of things. But you cannot describe it. You can use it. Out of nowhere, you can have a two-way conversation with somebody with no telephone, and you know beyond a doubt it's correct. And it can be somebody on the other side, it could be somebody who passed. But right now, our elegance is the most important thing to demonstrate. The elegance and the mystery of the magic that we have as gifts for the world. Nobody missed out. And everybody's gift is beyond belief and of interest to everyone. It doesn't have to match a pattern, and it doesn't have to match a standard. And it will be paid for in the financial system in the long run. But the whole aim right now is to get used to the fact that we can do with magic and miracles what you can't do with physical effort. You can attract things into your life. You can change the shape of things. You can change how you look. But you don't have to work at it. You just have to know it's possible. So if you have a little background determination that wherever possible, you're going to use magic, you will find that you're led in directions that you never thought were possible. And you start to do things and you're not really sure why. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, The special thing that you were trying to do with magic appears in your life, but in a form that you can't recognize straight away. It's wrapped in a different package so that you can't muck it up until you open it. So that your brain can't decide this is what it should look like and this is how it should happen. Or it's delivered to you by somebody you don't even know. Or by a smile from a young child. Or even a sense of recognition of somebody in the crowd for 1 or 2 seconds, and then they pass and you go, wow, that was really something. All this is part of us. And the more you get used to it, the more fun you'll have. The easier life will be. And in the long run, the only thing we're supposed to do in this life is to live the life. Not to have a project, but live the life, no matter what comes. Not to determine things as positive and negative, but to make them all positive with our magic. And the miracle that comes from us simply being in simplicity mode is unbelievable. The simplest way you can approach anything will give you the maximum result. I used to say, you know, if you've worked out a problem and you give me the answer you've come up with, I'll reverse it and show you that the answer that's reversed actually works better. Because it's all problems are based on fixed conditions. And the world, the universe, the earth, people, your body, your energy field is totally random. And it never follows a pattern. If it does follow a pattern, it produces stresses and strains. And it needs energy from the world around you. Or in fact, you're here to feed energy to the world around you. You're here to feed energy to everyone. You're here to transmit all the time. And the more you transmit, the better you feel. The greater your feeling of transmission is, the greater your capacity becomes. And it doesn't take a long time, like a millisecond. You start to give, even if it's just a wink or a grin or something to a child, and you forget the whole world. Because you're in the world of your creator, where magic and miracles takes over everything, and you get led into the games of a child. And that child takes over nothing, just plays their game in their world to impress you. And all of a sudden you find you're doing the same for them. Simplicity is the most high-level programming language of all time. Simplicity actually runs the universe. And there's no force greater than it. It can move mountains. And it's totally in your hands as an individual without comparison to anyone else. So as we move on and we talk to ourselves about being in an advanced state, you'll see that in fact That's how the universe is. That's how we are. If we're not advancing past what we think our capacity is, we're not the majestic beings that arrived on Earth to demonstrate the beauty and the majesty that you're preparing for the future. You make space for everyone and everything, and you make a space that is perfect, brilliant, and beyond all belief. You make that for everybody else. You can do that because you're already in that state yourself. And don't worry about the noise that happens every week. It's one of the things that changes the direction, stirs up the moment, and allows you to have a little bit of a laugh of how the world interacts and stops you from being serious. If in the next couple of days you decide to do something that's different, you're being a bit slow. In every second, and probably shorter, your decision is so fast that in real terms it's not a decision, but you're making a change now and now and now, and you're making another change now, so fast that you can't write it down, you can't even store it in your brain, because what you're using is a system that is not time-based, it's instantaneous. And as I've said before, you can actually reverse it and have it appear before you even think about it. That's what happens with your transmission. That's why you can tell if someone's going to tell you a lie, because I've already transmitted it to you. That's why you can say to a child, don't tell me that lie, and they don't know how you know. But they've already transmitted it to you, and in some cases it's as clear as the speech that follows it. And you say to yourself, well, that was a good one. Wonder how you can transmit one thing and say the opposite, and then act a different way again. This is how we determine how genuine we are, because we know everything about everyone, and there are no secrets. But some things appear in your life as noise. They can't appear as noise in the world of magic and miracles. It's all clear, and it's all there, available, and it never ever enters your head. But you handle everything, and as it comes into your world, it adjusts to the perfection that you are. While we focus in the physical world, we can actually be well away from the physical world in a much more advanced format with a much higher intelligence, and still perform our everyday actions on Earth. We are beyond belief. And you can stand on the other side of the room and look at yourself, but you can also stand in the outer reaches of the universe and look at everything. So from that place, that is not actually a physical place, it's everywhere, you have complete authority. And your word is always perfect, and it's always followed, and it's always held in the deepest authority that you could ever imagine. So with that authority, each one of us can pass to one another the gift of a perfect life, perfect health, and a very magic future. Thank you.